Mandalorian season 3 premiere has dropped, and man, what an interesting episode. So, there was a press event that took place in which John Favreau, Dave Filoni, Pedro Pascal, Katie Sackhoff, like the works were there. Now, the press got to see the first 2 episodes out of this season, to which I was just like, why didn't they just release the first 2 to everyone? Because obviously, since the press is going to be reporting on it, they're going to be creating the buzz for this
Mhm.
new season, this new premiere. Why don't you just think, hey, maybe everyone needs that sort of story building as well? Because they did that with some other series under the Disney banner. And it kind of helped to build out this sort of flavoring, this sort of taste of what's to come, just to build the beginning of the story and to kind of get you into it. So the first episode is generally just kind of getting you back into the world, getting you reacquainted with what was going on. I thought it was pretty good for a setup. I really appreciate how John Favreau and Dave Filoni are just the nerds for Star Wars. You can tell this was made by people who love themselves some Star Wars, Chris. So what did you think about the episode?
I was expecting more of a bang. It was more of a ramp up than a bang. It's clearly the trailer for the rest of the season. I mean, like think of the intro of season 2, man. Cobb Vanth shows up with the Boba Fett armor, and you go, "What?" And they fight a friggin' Krayt dragon. Like your head exploded. And I felt like this didn't have quite the same oomph to it. Like there were some pretty quick action scenes, but for the most part, it was a lot of exposition. And also, I'm guessing that a lot of folks that didn't watch Book of Boba Fett were just very confused by the beginning of the show. Like,
Yeah,
what
that
the hell?
that was so weird. So a lot of the Star Wars fans were talking about that. So it was so weird how if you didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, there were Mandalorian episodes in it that kind of continue the story. And in
In
it,
a big way, like a
yeah,
huge way.
like Grogu, a little baby Yoda, came back to him. So if you watched Mandalorian and you saw that he delivered him to Luke Skywalker and he went off and there was that phenomenal finale where we got prime Luke Skywalker. That's what we wanted, Ryan Johnson. It's not hard. Tony Stark built us in a cave with a box of scraps. Um, but in the Book of Boba Fett, he was returned to him. So if you and some other people that I know who actually did skip the Book of Boba
Mhm.
Fett because word of mouth, it was boring. And to me, it kind of was. They skipped it and now they watched the first episode of The Mandalorian. Oh, wait, what's the baby doing there?
Mhm.
What? That's kind of weird. I
But
mean,
there's more than that too, because there's like huge stuff happens. One of which, obviously, the Razor Crest is gone, and he gets a new ship that is like the whole point of it is ridiculously fast. He's trained with the dark saber, realizes that like the more you use it, the more difficult it is to control. And he gets basically like slapped down for taking his helmet off. Like all that happens in the Book of Boba Fett. Like basically
man.
the whole mission for season 3 Mandalorian is explained and set up in a whole other show.
And it's such a huge miss to do that in a different show. I mean, you can't expect everyone to watch everything because again, I know people who skipped the Book of Boba Fett because word of mouth got out that it got boring. So they missed all of
Yeah.
that. They missed all of that. And here we are in the season premiere, and it's just like, oh, what's all this? What's all that? And they don't even do like a recap, which is kind of I was like,
Yeah.
what? Oh man, but yeah. So you thought the episode would kind of start off with a banger, and it wasn't as good as you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean there was like let's be honest, there's like 2 real good action scenes in this. The first one, the very opening of it, there's a big Mandalorian ritual happening on some planet, and it's interrupted by this big giant alligator thing that they try to take down. It's pretty cool action sequence. Bunch of Mandalorians trying to take this massive thing down. There's a whole big thing about Mandalorians. You know, in even back as far back as season 1, they talk about like Mandalorians deal with these huge things. So like this is right in their wheelhouse. Really cool fight scene, and then Din Djarin comes in with his badass what's it Naboo fighter and just
Yeah,
like
Naboo and one
takes it out.
Starfighter.
Yeah, it was actually like a pretty sick like what's up, I'm here moment. But it was just kind of over in a flash, right? And then they basically kind of recreate the scene that they already had in the Book of Boba Fett when he's told he's not really a Mandalorian anymore unless he goes and does this thing. So he's like, I'll go do this thing, bathe in the waters underneath Mandalore. But we already had that scene in another show. It's weird. They had to do that scene again. Like, I already told you that. And he's like, yeah, no, but I'm gonna go do it. And they're like, all right.
Yeah, that's a big criticism, like rehashing that moment just so audiences are caught up. That kind of shows you how there's like a fault in what they're doing there. And John Favreau's like smarter than this. It's so weird. I wonder if that's like studio interference where they're just like, oh, we have to make this Boba Fett thing, you know. And then they're like, oh, let's put some, it was a weird call to put some Mandalorian stuff in there. I guess that's the whole Disney like business executive thing of look forward to the next thing because they do that all over Marvel. So I guess they're like, okay, we have to do that in Star Wars now. Look forward to the next thing. Don't like the current thing is fine, but hey, remember, we got to get the audience pulled into the next thing.
I wonder what would happen if someone were to not watch all of Book of Boba Fett, but start with that Mandalorian episode. And so I want to say it's like the last 3 episodes. Like, first of all, by the time you get to the finale, I'm wondering if you actually miss anything or if it doesn't even matter. It's just like, oh, cool. Boba Fett is in a fight with these guys and needs Mando's help. Cool. That's just an episode of Mando. Like, that would have been, I think that would be kind of interesting to see. Like, if those last 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett was just the beginning of Mandalorian season 3, because that's a wallop there. The only things that resemble good episodes in the Book of Boba Fett.
True,
which is still getting a season 2.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why that's getting season 2. It's
hopefully they learn their lessons, man. After Kenobi and Boba Fett, they know what people don't want. Or they should know what people don't want.
Because I think they're holding on to, okay, like Boba Fett is cool, right? People still like Boba Fett. There's still a fan base for Boba Fett. But you had to have seen the reception for the show. It wasn't that great. Was across the board. I mean, regular fans who aren't diehard like Star Wars fans. You know, you got OG fans like my dad, who's like like one of the OGs, like we've seen it in the movie theaters when it came out. But back in the day, and he's just like, "What is this? He's like, what's happening here? It's weird." Even Tamara Morrison was just like, I was giving them notes on what to do, and they're like, "Nope, just say the lines, just dance, monkey." Say the
but then you look back at the big Boba Fett episode from season 2, and it's like, what a friggin' badass. He comes in like a rain of fire and just wrecks house, and it's amazing. And that we thought we were getting an entire season of that, and that would have been awesome.
Dude, that'd have been sick. Like him just kicking ass all over the place, just being this like stoic badass. He's got Fennec Shand to say most of the lines. Even Tamora Morrison said, I think Fennec, Ming-Na Wen should be saying most of these because this is a lot of talking for Boba. And he said this in an interview. And what he got back from the producers was, oh, they just want you to just say the lines, just do it. I was like, damn. Oh my God. Like, come on, like Tamara, like you gotta trust. Come on, you gotta trust in the process here.
He's a charismatic guy. Like, he's probably someone that wants to talk, but he knows the character enough to know that it's not appropriate for the character.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you're getting that level of feedback, and I'm pretty sure that they do take into account what the actors want, what some other people on staff want too, because in season 1, there's a behind the scenes thing, where John Favreau was saying how everyone was sort of interested in like the Razor Crest, because at first John Favreau was just building it practical and it wasn't really ordered officially. He was just doing it on his own just because he wanted a practical thing. Because Dave Filoni told him smartly enough, to have your own stuff from your show, get it built practically so you get it. And then other like guys from the ILM from the creature shop, from like the mechanical shop, that came by, what's Favreau doing? And they started helping him out. And then they made the Razor Crest mechanical. But in any case, so in this episode, I thought it started off with a flashback. I was like, oh, is that Din Djarin as a young boy?
I thought the same thing too.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, I was like, oh, is that him as a foundling and like getting a little baptism in the Mandalorian clan? The armor we see here come out. I love the way she talks, by the way. It's I love the way she talks. It's so great. She's like, and now to induct you into the baptismal fires of the Mandalorians. So this little foundling is getting a helmet, and then we see a little ripple in the water. She starts running out, grabbing him. Boom! A big alligator, snap a turtle, like big Star Wars monster type thing. And holy crap, all the Mandos gotta fight him. Holy crap! I thought it was an interesting thing, right? We got to get the creatures going. Great CG on the monster, by the way. Like I thought it was
1000%. Actually, I think the
bruh.
visuals in this episode were like on par. Like they were up there with a lot of the movies.
Bro,
To be perfectly
I
frank.
I think everyone at Industrial Light and Magic was just like, okay, like we got to get we got to get the A team. Everyone's name who is usually on the A
Mhm.
team. You're working on the next Mandalorian, and I think everyone's just like raising their hand. Hey, does Favreau? Hey, I'm part of the A team. 9/11. Does Favreau need me? Hey, can I? Like, I'm working on other stuff, but can I go do that? Because Favreau even talked about, the behind the scenes of season one, where, he was saying how everyone was just wanting to get involved and they just loved the
Mhm.
work because it seemed like OG Star Wars, and that really said something
Yeah.
about the work they were doing on the sequels. But yeah, so we have all the Mandos like getting into action, and it was so great seeing all these different kinds of Mando, Chris, and the
Mhm.
action that was going on. You got the laser blasters going, like you got all these beams, you got rockets being blasted up in the air, you got detonator charges, and just when all hope is lost, it seems like they can't win. Some of them are turning into snacks for this big alligator, snapping turtle, crocodilus. Here comes Mando and his Naboo Starfighter. Goddamn, swoops in like Han Solo. Come on, kid, pull that thing. Let's get out of here. Damn. And then oh man, it was such a hero moment. So
Yeah.
great. I was like, look at this. But my one note to John Favreau is that, okay, listen, I know the story beat says, and then Mando comes in and has this fantastic entrance. Audience goes wild. I heard at the premiere there was like roars of cheers like when that happened.
Mhm.
But I think it was at the cost of making the other characters look not as powerful as it should be, right? Like we've seen the
Mm.
Mandos handle themselves. We've seen the Mandos like be those people, right? Like whenever their
Yeah.
blasters are out, whenever someone sees a Mando, they're like, oh, dude, that's a Mandalorian. That's a problem. But here it seemed like they were having a really hard time with the big alligator, snapper, turtle, crocodilus. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of the funny thing is, like, it was a cool sequence, but it definitely felt like it went on longer than the threat appeared. Um and yeah, it was like, why are all of you guys not just flying around all of the time? I'm again spoiled because I watched a lot of the animated stuff, and like those guys are in the air like half the time, just flying around like friggin' hummingbirds and ducking and weaving and doing crazy stuff. And I understand that's hard to do with live action and whatnot, um but it definitely, there was like five guys. There was like 20 people on that beach and only five people were doing something.
if I was the armor, I've been looking around like, hey, are you all shooting? Or do we all
I
see this?
can't do this myself.
What the hell? It's like when you're in a game with your homies. Hey, are we all focused on the ball? Like when you're like in a raid in Destiny, is everyone shooting? What's everyone's
Yes.
light level? Are we all just like what's going on here? Come
How I
on.
thought it was going to end is I thought the Mando that got eaten was just going to shoot its way out of the thing's belly. I was kind of
Oh,
hoping that was how that was going to end, and then that would have been badass. But yeah, well, whatever. It's
and
Mando
also it
coming
also
in.
would have been like a funny thing if they kind of like did like a little Marvel like Star Wars crossover because you have the armor, but like what's he doing? Oh, he's going inside to destroy it. What? That doesn't make any sense. It's as tough as the inside as it is on the outside. That's what I was saying. Like Stephen Army. But man, I love the costume work. The armorer
Mm,
still looks badass. Perfect casting for her as well. Like that actress that plays her is just the perfect pick. The way she delivers her lines, her stoicism, like the leader qualities, absolutely brilliant. The other Mandos as well, like the big guy with the Gatling gun that John Favreau like played once.
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Mandos are brilliant. The helmet they were giving the youngling, I was like, well, what kind of Party City prop shop is that? It's kind of oh, whatever. Anyway, so fast forward, Mando comes down, and here comes the scene, Chris, where you were talking about where they
Mhm.
rehash the telling of, okay, if I go to Mandalore and I wash myself in Lake Minnetonka and absolve myself. And she's like, yeah, that's the thing I said in that other series people may not have watched, but we're saying it here again. It's like, okay. Fast
All
forward
right.
to, they're blasting off into space, and we see a wonderful thing. I mean, if you're a fan of Rebels, you would have immediately noticed what this was. So we're in hyperspace. We're going like Grogu's in the back bubble of the Naboo starfighter, and you look out and he sees what looks like a space whale. Oh my gosh! And then it zooms out and you just see them in the silhouette. And I thought that was beautiful. Chris, being a Rebels fan and seeing them there, what did you think about that moment?
It's pretty cool. And those things tie directly into the finale of Rebels. So they're clearly like setting some stuff up, being like, hey, you've seen these things before. You know what these do. We're gonna show you some cool stuff. So yeah, it's a nice little visual. It's fun flying through space. See some whales. You don't expect to see whales in space, do you? But here they are. It's great.
We blast out of hyperspace. We come down to the planet Navarro. Yes. So, guys, remember that planet in the earlier part of the series, The Mandalorian, that we kept coming down to, the Western-looking town, was like
Mhm.
ridden with mud and scum and villainy. Now it looks like a
I
little.
can't believe it's not Mos Eisley.
Yeah, yeah, essentially. Well, we got some greenery. It looks like a tourist destination. It looks like it's been modernized a little bit. It looks like it's been one of those HD like TV shows, Chris, where like modern day bathroom and stuff.
But you know what they had, Serge? They had sets.
Yes, dude.
They were walking around sets.
Yes. Oh my! And you can tell too, because John Favreau, Dave Filoni, dude. These guys. This is why these guys are the guys. This is why they get paid the big bucks. They are the fandom. They are the Star Wars nerds. Just when you're walking around, having everything in camera. I'm sure some far distant shots were the volume, but having that set, I mean, you can feel it. It looked like OG Star Wars. Hell, when Mando was walking through on his way to see Grief Karga, played by Carl Weathers, we see some quacking monkeys, the the Salacious Crumb character, a bunch of them up in a tree, just just laughing and chuckling and stuff. But then the last season, we saw some of them getting roasted on a Spitfire, but now they're thriving. They're thriving. Dominovata. Yeah, so we meet up with Carl Weathers here in Grief Karga. Man, this guy's looking good. He's the head guy in town. He's making an independent spaceport, talking about how well they're doing, like really being under independent rule, not under anybody. And he wants
two
Mando.
little robots carrying his cloak.
Right? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, right. It's his cape train. I was like, what? What the? It's so unnecessary, but such a great little touch to see how like opulent he is now, how high up he is now. He's got two little droids just carrying his cape, and we get a little throwaway line, Chris, talking about Cara Dune, Gina Carano's character, because Grief Karga, Chris, wants him to be his deputy. He's like, hey man, I can use somebody, I can use some muscle, and you are muscle, Mando. And he's like, hey, I got a mission to do. I can't stay around here. What about Cara Dune? And he says she was promoted to special forces, so she's gone there. What did you think? I didn't think we'd have any mention of her here, but what do you think of that?
It was really funny, that they mentioned it and like how quickly they did some stuff. It was like, what about Dune? I thought it was funny. Yeah, they're just like, all right, we need to explain this because she ain't coming back, and now she definitely ain't coming back.
Yeah, and there's just like there's like a small portion of the Star Wars audience that's really loud, that's been clamoring for it, and just to that, just like, guys, no personal smoke to Gina Carano, but why are we acting like she's like this award-winning actress in Star Wars?
No.
I mean, I thought she was better in Deadpool, but in The Mandalorian, let's not act like like she's Natalie Portman as Amidala. Yeah,
she did the job. That was what the character needed. She did the job good.
And like
no Oscars.
Cara Dune's not necessary. So, just not. I mean, we'll be fine. We'll be absolutely.
She could have been.
Yeah,
she could have been if they built more on her.
Yeah,
they didn't.
They did,
and now we're glad about it.
She was going
to. Now we got Bo-Katan, so it's all good.
That's right. That's right. We got Katie Sackhoff, so it all works out. I love how Navarro now is just this little like tourist destination. It looks better. A bar like turned into a school. You even have like one of the local gangs are coming through. It's like, hey, give us some drinks. This used to be a bar. Like, and Grief Karga's like, well, it's a school now. And you got to deal with it. Eat it. And you see like, man, and I love the nod to the Westerns, Chris, because that's originally what George Lucas pulled from. Like, that's some Filoni, like Favreau shit right there. Just like, hey, George had this thing, from spaghetti Westerns and the Akira Kurosawa samurai movies. Let's harken back to that. So you got, the stranger in The Mandalorian coming back into town. You got, the sheriff who's walking around with the stranger, and you got the local gang. Hey, we used to come to this saloon, and now it's a school. Hey, we're gonna start some trouble. And they're like, well, you best get on there, mister. It's just such a Western. I love the moments of zooming on the faces, very Eastwood movies.
I think it's great because definitely when The Mandalorian first opened, season 1, episode 1, it definitely was like, all right, we're doing some Western shit. And this episode, they're like, no, we're gonna give you a proper duel. We're gonna do a standoff right now, and it's gonna be great. I liked it. I like that the pirates came in because what I'm really hoping is that this interaction escalates to the point where they get into a big fight with a large group of pirates. Because there's a character called Hondo Anaka that is played by Jim Cummings, the great voice actor Jim Cummings, and I would love to see Hondo make a return. He's kind of ridiculous, kind of over the top, like a scumbag, but a likable scumbag. He's the guy that comes in. You don't really ever know what side he's on. He's always out for himself. Like sometimes he helps out the bad guys, sometimes he helps out the good guys, even when he is kind of a dick. And by the end, everyone's like, you're just a pirate. It's fine. You're just doing pirate things. And I would love to see them bring Hondo Anaka into live action.
Yeah, man, I see that echoed in a lot of people too. Like, hey, bring him here. I mean, they actually thought he was going to be in the episode because they heard about
I
some
did
pirates.
too. Once they saw the big pirate ship, I was like, here it comes. Here comes Hondo. And then it was someone else. So I was sad. But
that would have been
who
great.
knows?
Yeah,
Maybe might still come up. I don't know.
Who's to say? It'd be a great addition because, hey, man, they've been bringing in a lot of the Filoni verse into live action, and it's been great.
Heck yeah.
I mean, who thought we'd get Cad Bane live action, and he looked great.
Yeah,
he looked sick.
Yeah, but then they used him for an episode, for like a half an episode.
Yeah,
and Cad Bane's a badass. Give me more Cad Bane.
I
can't.
I thought he was short lived too because like watching the animated stuff, I thought he was such a badass and cool character. And especially when the Old Republic MMO came out, I was like, ooh, I want to be like a Cad Bane. So I had like a role playing like Cad Bane type character. I tried to make him as close as I could. It was sick.
Did you get the hat?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
they had it and everything. I was like, yo, they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they want you to play.
That's why I gotta watch the Bad Batch.
True.
There's a Cad Bane sighting. Just saying.
Ooh,
just saying.
Okay, damn. You've had my interest. Now you have my curiosity.
I know.
Yeah. So I love that, man. Like Carl Weathers just chews the scene here, man. He's such a great actor. Like he just fits into the Star Wars world. And even when he brings Mando over to the statue of IG-11, and I love to have the statue of him is actually him. Like essentially his body and one of his arms, and the rest of it is just like things that they scrap. And Chris, how do you feel about this? So Din Djarin talks to Grief Kark, and he's just like, listen, I need someone watching my back where I'm going, and I need it to be destroyed. I need someone that I can trust, because the rest of the old crew, like we had like Bill Burr's character, he's gone. Like Cara Dune's gone. Not really many people that Mando can actually trust to go on something like this, to watch his back without like getting at his back. So he goes through and he tries to get IG-11, who served him well, who proved himself to be a loyal companion to him. And he's like, listen, just bring him down. I'll try repairing him. Let's do this thing. Now, instantly, I kind of didn't like that story beat. I was like, listen, I would rather have new characters. This is, again, my problem with some of the writing in Star Wars, wherein it's a galaxy far, far away, not a neighborhood far, far away. Let's get some new characters in here. Let's get some new people, but we're going back to get IG-11. I mean, he was a cool character. I like Taika Waititi, but I mean, Chris, how do you feel about them like rehashing an old character?
I felt like that was what all of a sudden pulled the momentum of the episode to a screeching halt. It like, I wouldn't mind so much if they brought him back if they didn't go through so much trouble. Like, it already feels like we already know what Mando's looking to do. Why does it have to be this droid? We thought this droid was destroyed. Okay, I guess he's there. But now there's going to be like a whole big thing of them having to bring him back. Like, then he pretty much immediately brings him back and finds out, oh, no, his original programming is back. So he's going to try to kill everyone, which like, it just feels like a waste of time to me. And I guess that's one big gripe I had with the episode, is that we spent so much time on this one thing. It just took away from, like, we already know what he's going to do. Why are we spending time on this? And specifically so much time on this, because it was a lot of him trying. Okay, then he has to shoot him because he's trying to kill everyone. Okay, now we're going to bring him to these other guys, and now we got to wait for these guys to try to fix him. Oh, but they can't. So now they got to go do another thing. And it's like, now we're on the third phase of this, and you've just wasted 20 minutes of my life. So
damn. To tell how you really feel.
Yeah, I definitely didn't like this story. Like, I love me a good robot. Chopper from Rebels is like one of my favorite characters of any Star Wars thing. And so I'm all about the robots, but I don't know, man. It's like, you're pushing too hard to make this a thing. and you're making it too difficult to get to the finale of, or like to get to him bringing him back. It just feels I guess we've talked about this before, that sometimes things in stories just feel unwarranted or unearned, and that kind of, like, he had a glorious ending, just let it be. Let's
Yes, dude.
open someone else. Let's open someone else to it, up to it.
Like what? Yes, he had a great ending. He sacrificed himself. I mean, let's not pull. Listen. I don't know if they got some Marvel people over here now. I've been Lucasfilm and Star Wars. Let's not have characters who had glorious endings come back and just completely ignore their sacrifice, completely watered down and washed over what they did. I mean, he went out in a blaze of glory, literally in a blaze of glory, and they're
He
like,
walked through lava and exploded people.
dude, it was great. Like the music, the scene, like what happened, like the CGI, everything was great about it. And we're just gonna bring, and for what? For who? For what? For member berries? I mean, let's not get the Marvel writers over here in Lucasfilm, okay? Like let's leave them over at Marvel to do their multiverse thing, no consequences whatsoever. Okay, let's let that live. Okay, just a little note for Jon Favreau. I hope that's not a theme. I hope that's not a theme, because in the trailer we do see some people that we've seen before, like Amy Sudeikis' character. I don't care if I think she's too modern. We're going to see her at some point. We obviously have Grogu back. I wasn't a fan of bringing Grogu back. Honestly, it seems like an executive decision, because like, okay, listen, the Mandalorian show is now Grogu. A Mandalorian equals Baby Yoda for the masses. And it's like, yes, I get it. For the ordinary crowd, that's what they associated with. And I think they were afraid to not have Grogu, to not have Baby Yoda, because people who are tuning in who are just your average person, not necessarily a Star Wars fan, but they like the Mandalorian. I know people who are not Star Wars fans, but absolutely love the Mandalorian. It's a great story you can be a part of and follow without knowing any Star Wars lore. I pitched it to a lot of people that I know who aren't Star Wars fans, and they loved it. They're like, you know what, you were right. Like, sat down with my family, or sat down with my wife, my husband, boyfriend, whatever, and people were loving it. It's so accessible, and hats off to Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for that. But I think they need to be bolder. I think they can do something outside of Grogu, because I don't think Grogu is absolutely necessary. He's sort of like dressing. Like, we cut over to him a couple times. Like, oh, there he is. He's cute. Oh, he's getting some candy. Oh, he's doing this now. And it's nice. I get it, because you're also doing it for the kids, right, who are watching. But I think adults sometimes have to remember that kids also look up to adults. And I think Din Djarin is that guy. Because I remember when I was a little kid, I looked up to a lot of the adult superheroes. I didn't necessarily look at, like the little, who looked up to Aqualad? Right? Like Jon Favreau, even in your day with the Super Friends, who looked up to Aqualad? No, you would rather look up to Aquaman if anything else, Like whose favorite hero was really Robin? It was Batman, wasn't it? So I think adults need to sort of realize, just like, you have the Mandalorian, you have Din Djarin. He's a great hero. He's something good to look up to. You don't need to sort of feel like you need to placate to kids by only having sort of a childish thing in there in Grogu. I think the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, serves as that. In any case, because growing up, my favorite superhero was Batman. He wasn't, I was a little kid, so by the logic of having Grogu in there, it's just like, oh, how can you have Batman as your hero when you were like 5 years old? He's not a childlike thing like you. It's like, because kids look up to adults, look up to like cool things, and like Batman was that for me. So yeah, I think Grogu being there, I think, is unnecessary, but it's fine. I'm not bothered by him. But every time we cut over to him, it's like, oh, there he is. There he is for the marketing and for the sales. That's what it feels like to me. I don't know. What do you think about Grogu coming back?
I don't think I bump on it too much, because I think what I hope this season is, I think you're right in that the focus should be on Mando, and I think that now that we've kind of completed the Grogu mission, we can now focus is no longer get Grogu back to the Jedis. It is now let's get Mando back to where he needs to be. So I'm okay with him being there and doing these little quick few seconds vignettes. Fine, that's great. I don't think they necessarily need to spend a lot more time on it unless it does truly serve the overarching story. And that which would be fine if they can find another way to get in here. But I think Grogu is what takes the Mando's face, you take the Mando's kind of faceless personality, and Grogu's what actually brings the personality out of Din. So I don't mind that he's there as long as we get a good story out of now. Okay, let's let Din Djarin take the spotlight and see what his journey is all about. And I think that they can strike a good balance there. I never thought they like overdid the Grogu stuff before. Like, I know that was the main quest, but I think they gave us like just enough, but most of it was still driven by what is Mando doing the whole time. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, we're now in season 3 of this. I'm hoping there's not much more. There's not really a lot of shark jumping, which I don't know. Maybe we'll call it Fight the Gator for this one. But but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Again, as long as they tell a good story, I'm on board. Like, maybe he's just the muscle of the season.
Yeah.
Little guy, big Force stuff. He's just the guy that comes in and goes, all right, clear the room.
Yeah, and speaking of bringing things back, now that Mando is trying to bring back IG-11, they have this little Terminator moment where he comes to life and he reverts back to his old programming. I thought that was pretty good. I was like, oh, his old programming, because like, you know, like whenever a droid gets destroyed, like that's sort of what, you know, factory setting was. You know, his prime directive. I thought that was great. You know,
but we also already were there before. Like, Din killed him once already.
Yeah.
Right. Episode 1. Then they brought him back. All right, fine. Makes sense. Okay. Then he sacrificed himself. He's dead again. Oh, we're bringing him back for a second time?
And we're killing him a second time.
And then we're killing him a second time. Like, so now we're on round 3 of this droid. Like, is IG-11, is the 11 how many lives he has? Is that what's going to happen right now?
It's how many times we're going to rehash all the beats that we've already done with it. and then you have Mando. You have this really corny line. I don't know who's on the staff right now, but y'all need to chill, because there was a droid who tips over a bus, and then as IG-11 is crawling around, like the bus falls on IG-11, crushes him, turns him down. You know, and Din Djarin says, "Well, that's using your head." Boo! Boo! I like dad jokes. I like puns, but come on, that was like some like 80s action movie, like Stallone, like Schwarzenegger type thing. That's using your head. Come on, let's not have the Marvel writers over here. Okay, like keep them over there at Marvel, you know, ruining stuff like Kang.
Too soon.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, so Chris, but here's a nice little surprise. Since Din Djarin is absolutely adamant about having IG-11 back, Grief Karga's like, okay, well, I know some guys who can fix him. Let's talk to the Anzellans. He goes, who? Cut over to the Babu Freak, little guys.
A whole room of them, not just one.
You guys remember them from that wonderful movie, that little gem, The Rise of Skywalker, Babu Freak. Putting stuff together. I liked it. I like the Jim Henson Muppetry of it all. I was like, oh, we're using Muppets. Let's go.
So my question is, if we have this scene, why did we need the first scene where Din fix him and then he has to shoot him again? Why not just go to them in the first place, and then his kill count can be down by 1?
And also, it would smooth out the episode, make it a little bit tighter, and then you'll have more space to put more stuff in, because the episode runtime is already short as it is, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But so the Anzellans go ahead and they tell Din Djarin, hey, we can't fix him unless we have a part. And I'm just like, okay, like is like the video game writers from Jedi Fallen Order on board here too? Because now we're given like a
fetch
video
quest,
game mission.
baby.
Yeah, we're getting a side. Okay, so we're getting a side quest to get a very specific part for IG-11 in order for the Anzellans to fix him. But we're also on the main quest of going to Mandalore to wash ourselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka and redeem ourselves because we took off our helmets. Okay, what other side quests are we? It's like a video game.
He's going to turn the corner, and then another character is going to have a big exclamation point over his head, and it's going to be like, here we go again.
Hey, you, Mandalorian, come here. I got a quest for you. It's the A button or the X button. Hey, so I got a quest for you. It's like a game. You might as well just turn this into a video game at this point. Absolutely insane. So Mando is off again. He blasts off into orbit, but oh wait, we're not done yet. And this is what I liked. Little something that reminded me of the prequels, Chris. A little space battle with the pirates.
Yeah.
Hey Mando, you can't just sneak away that easy. You know, our boss was talking to you. Blast him. Dude, I liked it. I was like, ooh, little space battle.
It was the Star Fox moment.
Yeah. Yes. And dude, that Naboo fighter, that thing was zooming, it was
Yeah.
blasting. Man, dude, hats off, dude. Industrial Light and Magic, you guys are G's. You guys are absolute G's. I love it. It reminded me of the prequels. All you
It
needed
looked as
was,
good as episode 2, man.
yes, dude. It's just I love that whole sequence. It was so sick. And then eventually got to like the pirate boss's ship, which had this cool like marking to the outside, and the pirate boss looked like Swamp Thing and Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. I expected him to have me be like Din Djarin and 99 souls in 3D. What do you think of that whole sequence and the reveal of this pirate boss? And do you think we'll see more of him?
Uh Again, I hope it turns out that he reports to Hondo. Like, if this all leads to Hondo, I'm cool with that.
Mm,
The scene where they show like they're showing the cockpit of one of the pirate fighters, and then you just see one of them break off and then go behind an asteroid and just explode. And I was like, that was cool. Like,
that was sick.
you don't really see Mando like come up behind him. You just know he friggin' tagged him on the back end, and you just see him Mando darting behind the different asteroids. And I was like, this right here, this is how you shoot a space fight scene right there. That's cool.
Dude, it was sick. It was like, this is pod racing.
Hell yeah, it was.
Dude, they like just like and I watched it a couple times. The angles they were using, it was so dynamic. You were in the cockpit, you were on the wing of the
Come on,
fighter.
Patty Jenkins, give it to us.
Dude, seriously, I that's what I'm talking about. I mean, like they went ham on this. They went hard as a motherfucker on this. They spent some time putting this together. John Favreau was like, listen, this needs to slap. I trust y'all. Like, this is the sequence. Let's get it done. Like Dave Filoni being, a great guy to storyboard and animation, probably maybe map something out. Who knows? Whoever's
Yeah.
responsible, big W. I loved it. I thought it was great because, like, man, yeah, we need more space battles. We're on the ground a lot,
Yeah.
Chris. Like, it's Star Wars. Let's get to the
Yeah.
stars.
So great sequence. However, how necessary was it to the story? Like, not at all. That's again that's why a lot of the stuff that happens in this show in this episode is like, cool. Like, what does this actually matter? But absolutely great sequence. One of the best like space battles that we've seen in a long time, especially since like Andor. We're waiting for a space battle. We never really got it.
Never
So
really
I was
got
like,
it.
all right, cool. We're gonna one episode. Give me like 5 minutes of just some dogfights. Let's do it.
That's a really good criticism because I've been seeing that across the board with a couple different content creators that there was a lot that happened, but a lot that also didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like stuff was happening, like, this whole space battle, this dogfight, that was great. But just like you said, what did it add to the story? Like, where
Yeah.
are we? I mean, John Favreau's probably like, come on, man, it was cool. Like, come on, guys.
It's true. And then where does he go? He goes to see Bo-Katan. Which is great.
Yeah.
But what did we actually learn? Like, she's alone in a castle now.
Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna revisit her later. Does it really matter? Do we need episode 1? Do we really need this information at the moment? Because we know he's got to go to this other planet. He's got to go to Mandalore. Why does he need to stop here? I get like we're checking in with our friends. I get it. That's fine. And Carl Weathers, I love you, Carl Weathers. Great. Everything he did was great. But that moment with Bo-Katan was just kind of like, all right, cool. But why did we have to go here?
It really did ring hollow because although it was cool to see, this other like Mandalorian planet in the system, and to see like the castle, it almost seemed sort of Game of Thrones like. I was like, is that where they're going here? Yeah. I was like, is this Dragonstone? Is that where what's going? About to see a Khaleesi up in here? Man,
Yeah.
but yeah, like it seemed like a weird side quest. And if you play games, like there was really no. Here we got a little bit of information, right? Like Mando didn't really have the information of, okay, where do I find these springs I have to bathe in? And in the end of their conversation, she gave, okay, well, it's here, go here, and then you'll find the entrance to the springs. But other than that, she called him a fool for trying to do it. Mandalore is poisoned and glassed, and then he, but he had that little kryptonite looking rock that he showed the armor earlier. Like, listen, I like some guy gave this to me. Like so it's possible to get down to the surface. So maybe there's something there, because the Empire has put out there, well, Mandalore is gone, it's poisoned. But is it? Maybe something else is afoot there. What if we go there and it's not poison? What if there is stuff that's going on there? What if the Empire has a stronghold there? Because there were some inklings in in some other Star Wars properties that maybe there was another cloning base there.
Mm.
Who knows? But yeah, Chris, I do agree with you though that it felt unnecessary, as if we're
Mhm.
going to come back to her because we're kind of going to need her again. And especially it kind of goes into like not really a spoiler, but during the press event at the actual premiere night
Mhm.
for Mandalorian season 3, Pedro Pascal and Katie Sackhoff were both on stage with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. And they're both talking about, welcome, blah, blah, blah. We're doing our opening thing. We got an episode to show you. And at one point they asked Pedro Pascal to say something. And he said, well, I can't wait for all of you to see what happens. And then he says, I can't wait for you guys to see what she does to me. To which Dave Filoni was like, hey, whoa, no, 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 no. I was like, oh shit, what did he just say? Oh, little spoiler there, right? Because Dave Filoni was like, no, no, he was like, no, 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 no. Listen, and then Filoni smoothed it over by, all right, we're gonna watch the first episode now.
Nice.
But well, I was like, yo, like like Dave Filoni's body language is like, bro, what are you doing?
You're
Stop
Tom
it.
Hollanding this.
He's like, you actors, man, like you actors, boy, can't put a lid on you guys. So obviously, we're gonna go back to her character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was weird. Like, trim the fat. All we're saying is no to Jon Favreau. Just
Yeah.
trim the fat here.
If you're gonna have Bo-Katan, let's make it count.
Exactly.
I'm just saying we're gonna come back later. Why did you need to give us this one really quick, slim piece of information that you could have just gotten pretty much any other? You could have found another way to sneak it in there.
Exactly.
But I mean, if like this castle becomes like his base of operations, like then that might make this worth it. But who knows? Who knows, man? We'll find out later.
Yeah. And let's see here. The next part. After that, we get to see here. What happens after that? And my thing froze here.
I think that's
And
the end, isn't it?
and dude, the castle itself looked really dope. Like, shout outs to the set designers. I don't know if that was the volume or whatever, but it looked really damn good. It looked so sick. Love the set design there. Absolutely phenomenal. You have like the ominous like lighting coming through, like the windows and everything like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, Chris, you're right. After he talks to Bo-Katan, the episode just kind of ends.
Yeah. You're like, what?
It kind of just ends. And you're like, wait a minute. I can kind of see why they showed the press 2 episodes. Like this ended off at 32 minutes and had the directed by Rick Famuyiwa, who great direction. It was a good build up here. And then you got the wonderful concept art, which I love seeing every single time. And I can kind of see why they show the press 2 episodes, because you kind of need this one just ends. I mean, they should have gave us, the regular audience here also like the first 2 episodes, because that was not enough. Absolutely not enough. But because I mean, I was getting comfortable. But shout outs to Jon Favreau. I loved the feeling of being back in Star Wars. To me, it felt like OG Star Wars. It felt like I was in a great live action, like the Star Wars, because I'm trying to find a way to describe it, right? Because we have like certain of the properties like the Book of Boba Fett, right? Which was okay. I was, mediocre to some parts were great. The Mandalorian stuff was obviously the best, but this felt like quality. This felt like it was crafted by people who care. This felt like the nerds were in charge and they were trying to give us some good stuff here too. That their fellow
We're
nerds,
definitely
but,
going
man,
somewhere with this. That feels like we're moving towards something. There were some moments in Boba Fett you're like, where is this going? And this one is like, all right, we know what the mission is. Let's go. Give me another episode.
Yeah, we finally have some momentum and it just ends there. But yeah, man, I do think this is a good start to the series. I'm really looking forward to each and every week now. But it's great to be back and have something to look forward to every single week. And man, like shout outs to Jon Favreau. And another thing too is he also let loose during a recent interview that he and the team at Lucasfilm, they also they watch like nerd channels, they watch reaction videos, like they watch like fan videos, like they pay attention to the zeitgeist. Shout outs to the Cyber Nerds, is like a group of guys out in the UK who have a wonderful channel. One of them actually got to interview Jon Favreau, and then towards the end of the interview, Jon Favreau like turned it back on the guy. He's like, "Oh, let me ask you some questions." And he was,
oh man,
Essentially doing some, direct audience like feedback, sort of like, like customers. Oh, how was our performance? How was like, what things do you think we could be doing better type of things? And one of the things he said was, oh, well, you guys, expand on certain things that need to be expanded on. Sometimes things
Mhm.
are just kind of glossed over, or sometimes we don't spend enough time in certain things and we kind of want that like fleshed out. And he was like, oh, okay. And he's like, but yeah, John Favreau says, we watch reaction channels, we watch like
Mhm.
certain like nerd channels. And I was like, that's awesome.
That's
Like
good.
what dude, what a great thing. And for him to like interview like the guy who's talking to him, who, they just had there's a bunch of guys who have a channel out in the UK and they talk about nerd stuff. I thought that was like, dude, like what great fan service. Then to talk to the fan and ask them questions. Like that was phenomenal. Shout out to John Favreau.
Favreau knows what the people want. This is how he figures it out. We hope, it was kind of a slow burn of a first episode. Make it worth it. Not knocking it. If this is where we're at, great. We're building up to something. Got to make it worth it.
Dude, I'm excited to where, each and every week looking forward to a new episode of The Mandalorian. It's some of the best Star Wars we always get, like in John Favreau, we trust. My dad's already like, yo, as an OG, like this is already great. Already loving it. But guys, let us know what you thought about the premiere of The Mandalorian season 3. Let us know down below. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time.